Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, you thirsty bunch of beer drinkers, whenever and wherever you're tuning in from. Thanks for pressing play and supporting a purely Canadian podcast. I'm Troy Birch with Great Lakes, Ontario's local brewery. A fiercely independent craft brewery at that, based right here in Etobicoke, who brings you this here podcast, Between Two Fermenters, where we crack cans with some of the most fascinating people in the Canadian beer world and dig into their stories. I hope you enjoyed the episode we dropped last week with Troy Baxter, the co-founder of Badlands Brewery, otherwise known as the other Troy in Ontario beer. It was pretty great catching up with him after meeting him back in 2016 at GLB when he won our lacing contest. And we were talking off mic about Great Lakes should probably bring that back again. So if you think we should bring back the Fresh GLB Lacing Contest, send us an email or leave us a note on one of our podcast platforms, and we'll get that back up and running. It's May, a busy month, the unofficial start to beer season, and we're going to be putting out 3 episodes just to mark the occasion. So last week, we had the aforementioned Troy Baxter in the hot seat. Today's guests, that's plural, which I'll introduce momentarily. And towards the end of the month, I'm going to be very humbled and honored to be sitting down with Ron Keefe, founder of Toronto's Granite Brewery. I've known Ron for a long, long time, and I blame him for making me fall in love with the industry. So I very much look forward to paying him back in my own way by putting him through the ringer with a barrage of questions. But that's coming soon. Let's focus on today. I have the pleasure to welcome in Craig Thorn and Nathan Lefebvre from Beer and Other Shit, or as many people know, BAOS, a multimedia beer platform, podcast, blog, web series, media consulting, etc. It's hosted by Craig, or C, to those that follow him or know him, Nathan, and Tiffany Alexis Davey, C's better half. The podcast features interviews with brewers, brewery owners, and industry professionals. Episodes cover a range of topics from brewing techniques and industry challenges to marketing strategies and personal stories. And damn, are they long. That said, the podcast, and beyond the podcast, I should say, offers a web series on YouTube showcasing beer reviews, brewery visits, and one-on-one chats with those living out their dreams. Their blog features articles like the top 10 breweries in Ontario for 2024, even though they didn't choose GLB, providing insights into the craft beer landscape and other stories worth diving into. Thorn and Tiffany are also behind Link Up, a not-for-profit organization with the mission to diversify the beer industry by connecting talented Black, Indigenous, and people of color within the craft beer industry. Together, they speak at conferences, organize collaborations to highlight their mission, and raise funds to go towards educational opportunities. And 2025 marks 10 years of BAOS, or Beer and Other Shit. So in celebration of the big anniversary, they are organizing a beer festival, collaborating with 39 friggin' breweries across Ontario, Quebec, New York, and I believe Texas, as a means to highlight their commitment to engaging with the craft beer community. And we brewed our beer with them today. One we're going to talk about, a little twist on our beloved Octopus Wants to Fight. It's known as Kangaroo Wants to Fight. But more on that later. We'll be diving into a number of topics with the fellas today, covering things like the story behind Beer and Other Shit and who these guys really are, why they chose podcasting so many years ago, how Link Up gets people talking about important topics in the craft beer industry, their 10th anniversary bash, getting all the details out of them, and why C seems to always scream when his picture is taken. I notice he never screams, there's no audio that comes out of his wide open gaping mouth, but we're going to find out why he actually does that. So lots to get at. So time for me to crack my beer while I gather my notes here and my wits. We'll be right back with Craig and Nathan from Beer and Other Shit. Hang tight.
Supporting local is more important than ever. Grab your morning coffee from a local cafe. Purchase fresh bread from your local bakery. Visit your neighborhood mom and pop shop or visit their online store. Secure your lunch or dinner from a bar or restaurant on your block. Local business needs your love, your support. Prop up your neighbors, man. Shop local. Your purchases, that money, it stays within your community. Now crack a beer as a reward, because you deserve it, and so do they. Supporting local never tasted so good. A kind message from your friends at Great Lakes Brewery. GLB, brewed for you, Ontario.
Hello, fellas. Welcome to Between Two Fermenters. How you doing?
Good, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great,
Good
thanks.
day.
Yeah, Nathan, thanks. You're joining us. Via Zoom. Craig, C.
Yes.
What do you want me to call you today?
What feels right for you?
Craig.
Perfect.
Okay, let's go with Craig.
I would never make you uncomfortable.
So you're in studio today here in glorious Etobicoke.
Isn't it glorious?
It is glorious. I got my beer cracked and I'm ready to roll. You got a beer there in front of you. What are you drinking?
I am drinking for the occasion. It only felt right to drink Octopus Wants to Fight. Obviously, based on the Kangaroo Wants to Fight, we're doing for the collab. So I was like, let's drink the OG.
And we're going to talk about that collab shortly. Nathan, over on Zoom, you're coming in from where, Ottawa?
Yes, I am coming in from Ottawa, and I do have a beer ready to crack myself. I considered doing Octopus Wants to Fight for the exact same reason, but given that it is 2:15 in the afternoon as we record, and we have another podcast to record tonight, I decided to go with a lower ABV option and went with Pompous Ass.
All right, so
Smart man.
As you guys would say, time to crack a beer, but get it in ya.
Let's
Okay,
go.
Yes,
let's
indeed.
go. So crack that sucker into the mics. There we go. That
yeah,
means the
mic's going.
podcast has officially kicked off. So, as I like to do
Cheers,
before getting into the main course, let's set the cheers.
Yes, and cheers, Nate.
Cheers, fellas.
Get that in your mouth.
Let's set the table before we get to the main course here. Who are you guys? Craig, we'll start with you. Aside from beer and other shit, what are you all about?
That's a good question. Like, as a human?
As a human.
Huh. I don't know. I always define myself by the work. Like, I'm used to define myself by music. I was a rapper and MC since 2001, 2002. That was the reason I moved to Canada. So that was always my identity. And then the business. I've had the business, I guess, for 10 years as well. So social media agency. So it's like I've been trying different stuff since I was about 6 to be like entrepreneurialism. That's always been the vibe. And then the beer thing, I guess, since 2011, doing the stupid selfie thing. Kind of also be the identity. So I kind of wrap it all around those three things, which is probably boring.
Okay, and you're based in Hamilton now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The old hammer.
Yeah, you lived a while in. Obviously, you have an accent, so you came from where?
Australia, Melbourne, Australia. Gang,
Melbourne.
gang.
Yep. And then you moved to Canada and you landed in Montreal?
Landed in Toronto.
In Toronto first, okay.
Yep. So we were there for about just under 2 years. I'd lived in Toronto in 2004. I did the work and holiday visa, changed my little life. I was a kid and I wanted to come back always. And we came back in 2010. They changed the rules. The work and holiday visa went from 1 year once in a lifetime to 2 years rolling. So I was able to come back. And that's where I met Tiffany about 6 months in. And then to keep me in the country, we moved to Montreal. So it was like very difficult because I couldn't extend the visa. So we're like, what do we do? And we had one of those magical Montreal weekends. So she's like, do you want to move to Montreal and learn French? I'm like, yeah. So we just headed out there. And one of those things, kind of like Mike was saying earlier about his daughter, we went there with the 6-month course on a maybe 18-month visa. And then 10 years later, we're back.
And so if you're wondering who he's referencing, Mike is the guy behind the studio here, Mike Boone. He's recording this podcast. So Mike was talking to Craig earlier. Okay, so that's you. Nathan, what's your story? What's your deal?
My deal? Well, as we already covered, I'm coming to you live from Ottawa here. I've been living in Ottawa for 15 years, but I didn't grow up here. I grew up in Burlington, Ontario, Nickelbrook territory.
What is he doing? He's giving a plug to. What are you doing? Okay, so from Burlington. Okay,
Yeah, fair enough.
Strike one for Nate. I'm going to put that in the notes.
Okay,
here.
I'm coming in with points against me, like only a couple of minutes in. Okay, no more plugs, I swear. I after university, I was in Montreal for a bit, living with my girlfriend, now wife, and as we were trying to figure out where we were going to land location wise, because her family's from Eastern Quebec, and my family is still in Burlington, so trying to find a nice halfway point. And Ottawa wound up being where we landed. We didn't necessarily plan to stay here this whole time, but employment opportunities for both of us worked out fairly well. And and we've kind of been here since 2010. And as much as I had a budding interest in craft beer before I came to Ottawa, Ottawa is really where it blossomed and grew. Never knew at the time that it would end up with me co-hosting one of the biggest beer podcasts in Canada. But here we are.
Perfect. And I understand you have a new addition to the family coming soon, so congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. My son just turned 3, and my wife is now pregnant with our second due this summer. Well, so all of these things going on with the anniversary are coming in right under the wire for me.
Nice. Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Let's move over to Beer and Other Shit. Craig, I want to learn the backstory, the history behind it, why you do what you do, and what you have planned for the future. So if someone's never heard an episode of the podcast before, or read a post or watched a video, tell them what Beer and Other Shit is.
So it's a podcast where we tell the stories of people behind the beer. It was started as a way. I couldn't find a podcast that spoke to me. In 2015, my girlfriend was like, "Why don't you listen to a beer podcast?" Because I was doing the beer selfie thing, which I can tell that if that's the genesis of BAOS, but I couldn't find anything that sort of wasn't just old dudes talking in low tones about malt and stuff. So she was like, "Why don't you start it?" So my friend Scott and I, just because I did music, so I had all the equipment, used to come to Montreal, and we do the episodes there. It was audio only for the first 14 episodes, I think. And we were just messing around. I didn't know there was a beer scene, didn't know there were beer writers, didn't know there was beer Instagram or Twitter or anything. I had no idea. We were just in our own little bubble, just like I was with my beer selfie thing, reviews or whatever, which I still do to this day. And we were just like talking about beer news and drinking good stuff. It was fun to explore. And then as time went on, breweries started reaching out. I imagine we were there was only the Bartel was the only one I knew of here before us. So I don't think there was really anybody else. That's why I always feel like we're like the oldest or biggest maybe. But brewers kept reaching out. We're like, why do they want to talk to us? Because I knew nothing. Just to be like, I got no training or know nothing about beer. It was just the selfie stuff.
So you've mentioned the selfie now, I think 4 times. So let's talk about the selfie thing, because
it is kind of the genesis.
So what do you mean by the selfie thing?
So really quickly, I moved here in September 2010. In January 1st, 2011, my friends in Australia invited me to a Facebook group called 365 Days of Beer. And the idea was to basically take a selfie with either a labeled pint glass, a bottle or can of a different beer, not every day, but just to get 365 in a year. And I'm like, well, there isn't 300 beers even in the world, so this would be redundant, but why not? So I did it, and I clocked it in like 7 months. And I was like, okay. I just kept going, and people were like losing their minds over it. Like, and eventually people were like, I'm a bit OCD, so that's why I keep doing it to this day. I'm at 9,411, I think. Which is silly, but it's like, it's fun. Keeps you sort of researching stuff. So yeah.
All different beers.
Everyone that's reviewed is a different one. That's not including Untapped. I check into everything for a record purpose, but for the ones I review, it's all different. Has to be, otherwise there's no point. But that sort of people were like, oh, you should write a book, because my reviews were absolutely ridiculous. I had no idea. I was cussing. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was drinking beers in wrong order, and sometimes went looking back at the reviews. I'm just, when they come up in Facebook memories or whatever, I was just like, I knew nothing. But that was when, because I was doing that, people were like, yeah, write a book with it. I was like, why? It seems so silly. So it wasn't anything I took seriously. It was just fun. It was really cool because it got me, went to Buffalo and Detroit and a bunch of different places, obviously around Ontario and Quebec and stuff like that, and just exploring beer. It was really fun. And that's when Tiffany was like, well, why don't you, like 4 years later, listen to it, couldn't find any, start one. And then 10 years later, here we are. Definitely did not anticipate this to be anything that I would continue to do at any stage.
But you've done so much. And like we said, it's 10 years since you started the podcast. What were you looking to, like, did you do your 14 episodes that were just audio at the time? And did you just fall in love with the media? Did you fall in love with just the spoken word? Did you have, when you had other brewers on or people that worked in the industry, what were you trying to get from them? What was the whole point of having an interview with them?
I guess it was once again capturing the stories. It was not intended to do that. They wanted to be on. So I was like, I don't know. Well, I was a music journalist in Australia. There was like basically 3 of us in the whole country doing hip hop and R&B. So I wrote for all the major, like the equivalent of Now Magazine. I wrote for I did like an R&B column every week. I did like major front page news articles. I was interviewing whenever any big rappers came to town. I'd go to the hotel room and interview them, or have to call like on my speakerphone and then use one of those little micro cassette things to record them, like an international phone call. It was 2001. So I became like one of the very few people doing that. So I was used to being on I was trying to rap and everything, but I was used to being on the asking side. So I was just a very shy kid always, but for some reason a big curiosity about things, and it's easy to talk to people to get good answers. So and then as I started doing music, I stopped doing that, and then the music became the thing. So then I was being interviewed. So I was just used to talking on microphones, carrying conversations, just what I did. So podcasting was so easy for me from the beginning. It was zero I was just right into it because it was like a radio show, but longer.
But what made you fall in love with it? So you were doing it. Obviously, there's something that touched your heartstrings that you're still doing it to this day.
Curiosity, I guess, and like the answers from people. I like sort of kind of what we were talking about in the car. Like, you keep pressing people to get them to open up a bit more and to be like, say more about that. Tell me more. Yeah. And I want to hear. Like, I think it's because I just care. I'm curious. If I wasn't curious, I wouldn't do it. If I did, was like, whatever, sure, man. Like, I rarely would let an answer go by. Like, if someone just said something, like, you'd be like, oh, let's dive a bit deeper, because we have the time and space to do it.
So it was you and you said
my friend Scott.
Your friend Scott were the 2 original.
Correct.
And Nate, when did you join the podcast?
So my way of joining the podcast came pretty slowly over the years, starting very small, because Craig and I met in I believe it was 2016.
It was.
And became friends after that, and we're just kind of interacting like just as friends, because I had a small beer Instagram at the time, before it was Nathan Does Beer. It was called R&D Beer, which was an account that I started with a couple friends of mine. They kind of weren't into going as hard with it as I was, so turned it into my own account and kind of carried it forward from there. But it was just a personal account that I was, posting pictures of beers that I liked and writing little reviews. And as I started getting to know people in the scene, I started taking it a little bit more seriously, like trying to make my reviews a little more thoughtful, taking my photography a little more seriously. And as I kind of kept building it, and Craig and I were getting to know each other a little bit more, I started showing up to things that he was at, started doing little videos with them here and there. And after a couple of years first of all, I was on as the first time as a guest in 2018. And then the year after that, in 2019, it got to the point where I was thinking of doing something a bit more, and Craig and Tiff approached me to ask if I wanted to start writing the blog for BAOS, which was kind of my intro to kind of officially being part of BAOS, was starting to write the blog, which I did for a number of years. That started to pick up really well. The response was pretty good. It was mutually beneficial. I had a platform to be able to do long form content, and BAOS was able to get the blog content on it. So that was a mutually beneficial thing. That was going really well. After a while, I started jumping on as a temporary co-host.
They saw your hair and they were like, okay, we need to get this guy in the web series.
Yeah, that's right. I jumped on as a temporary co-host or just like a guest co-host for a handful of episodes. That started increasing in frequency. And so I've been co-hosting, I want to say now, since maybe 2021, 2022-ish. 2021, actually. And then after a little while, Craig was saying to me, like, you're coming on almost every episode now and doing a lot of the brewery outreach and lining up our guests and whatnot. Like, why don't we stop pretending this is this is something different than what it is, and like, let's make you the official co-host. And that's kind of been like how it is like ever since, save a break from when my son was born, and save an upcoming break after my second child is born. But yes, that's how I got to being part of the podcast.
Nice. Okay, so back to you, Craig. So the early days, you and Scott, you got it going, interviewing brewers. Who was your first guest? Do you remember?
Yes, there was an official guest and an accidental guest.
Okay.
So this dude who was is a Montreal, him and his brother, his name's Nasca Domini, his brother's name's Marcus Troy. They're sort of big marketers, original like fashion bloggers. I knew him sort of through like the music scene there, and he was the one who told us to do video. It was like he was in Toronto during NBA All-Star, and he was like, guys, you should do video. And then literally the next episode, we just did it, and it sucked. It was terrible, but we just did it. So then in that year, 2016, he got me invited on a PR list to a BAOS event in Montreal.
Okay.
And
BAOS All Natural in Van Cleek? But it was in Montreal.
It was I forgot the name of the pub, the Griffin or something. And it was this downstairs dingy pub, but we were just doing on-premise pod, just me and Tiff, like I was on air or whatever, and they saw me filming. I guess they knew that it was a media thing, and they were like, hey, do you want to talk to some of the brewer or whatever? I'm like, yeah, sure. And he came in and I was like, oh yeah, talking whatever, and because I was just doing it myself, reviewing the beer and talking about it, and then I was like, oh, what's the beer that you're most proud of that you did? And he's like, Lug Tread. I'm like, what the fuck? So it was Matt O'Hara. So that was like the accidental one. And then the real guest was Sweetwater, Nicole from Sweetwater, at the Old Spot pub on Danforth.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So once you got up and rolling, you have a whole range of different, I guess, subsets, if you will. You have the beer reviews, you have the long 3 to 5 hour interviews with breweries. You were mentioning you have a new one.
The Business of Beer series,
Business of Beer,
which is a podcast series, but yep.
So again, walk me through the whole platform.
Okay.
Because you have more than just the podcast.
Yeah, we have exactly. So the podcast itself, we call it like the original series, which was the in-person series. That did 159 episodes. Then our little friend COVID came along. Then we did a thing. Actually, that's not even true. We were getting bored of it. And we only did that in person, and that was just getting difficult. And it was like we wanted to do themed seasons, kind of like startup podcast or whatever. So then we did like a top 10 countdown to have a bit of a break. And I did a series called Against the Grain, which was all of the Quebec breweries doing haze, because that's when Quebec were really not into it at all. They were really.
Did you know that used to be Great Lakes back in the early days? They were called Great Lakes. The motto was brewing against the grain.
Look at that. That's like full circle right now. So we did that. Now that's what we did. We did 4 episodes of 6, and then COVID happened, and the last 2 episodes got canceled. So that's finished. And I was always going to do a series called the Adjunct series, which has just allowed me to do whatever in between creating these like different, maybe we do a marketing season, and very thoughtful and very planned out. So then COVID happened, so we just started doing the Adjunct series via Zoom. First was me and Tiff, and then like Nate said, like I would just ask my friends, hey Nate, you want to jump on? Let's just do a pod, whatever. And then breweries just started inviting them. I'm like, all right, cool. And we were doing that. So that's the one we still do to this day. We're at almost at 200 episodes of that. Then we did the link up episodes with breweries who did link up. And then we also do the Business of Beer episodes where we used to just do them on the Adjunct series, but now we're doing them in its own one where Nate and I will get 2 guests that are in similar but different things. And we would have a very kind of more like yours, a bit more planned, where typically ours are just riffing. So that's the podcast. We have the YouTube channel. So all the podcasts are video and audio. So that goes on YouTube. We also have, like Nate used to pop into videos. We've tried everything. We do vlogs, like where to drink craft beer in X city. We've done tons of those. Those are probably the most popular. We used to do a series called Versus, where we put 2 similar beers together, see what's better. We did beer mail. So every time breweries sent us beer, we would do a beer mail thing. We've done all stupid stuff where, I don't know, during COVID, we did a thing where it was like a hot ones challenge. I had to eat the chicken wings with the hot sauce. And then like Tiff's cousin, Dan, who works for us, he would ask me those. And then we'd blindfold me and do a blind chase challenge while my face was on fire and all these different like silly fun.
So it sounds like you guys keep challenging yourselves to come up with new content, to come up with new streams of concepts. And and does that keep it fresh? Does that keep it like fun?
Definitely.
Like,
we haven't,
like you said, 200 episodes of just the
Adjunct. So
just the Adjunct.
4 to 450 episodes in total, if you include all of them. That's just the podcast. And then there's 200-300 videos on the YouTube channel, I guess, including, I don't want to be including pods, would it? Okay, whatever. There's a bunch on the YouTube.
So you got a
channel.
lot of stuff out on YouTube and
And then the social is like just pushing the YouTube, and sometimes we'll just take nice photos. And
now I'm going to put you on the spot. Like, are you making money from this? Or we have made
not
some,
now.
Yeah.
We used to make some decent-ish money, but to be honest, like the sponsor thing, pain in the dick hole.
Yeah.
I did the amount of people I had to chase for pennies was so annoying, and the things you had to do, like for my agency, I get 20x to do so much less. So I was like, I would rather keep this as a passion project and try to monetize it desperately because I don't need the money. I'm fine. So I'm like, as much as I would rather this be monetized, I'm not going to chase it. If anything that ever came, like for example, Muskoka came in because we were in Quebec. They were launching 3 beers in Quebec. So we did a photo shoot for them. We ran the ads because our agency named High Season Co. My partner Tiffany, she does the ads for that. So we ran ads for them, and we got a French translator to translate it. So we orchestrated a whole campaign. That was our highest paid thing ever. We also used to work with tourism officers. So when we didn't have as much available income, we would work with, say, Visit Colorado, Virginia's for Lovers. We'd what's the other one? Vermont, Sherbrooke, Canton de l'Est, like all these different, and they would ship us out. Like they sent us to Colorado for 2 weeks, all across the state, and they would do this insane itinerary where we'd just take this old steam train to this little village in Silverton, and then visit the brewery there, and just like do all this crazy content whilst running the agency. It was so intense, and they always send you to places that I never wanted to go to, really. So we stopped doing that. I'd rather pay out of my own pocket and go the hotel I wanted to go to without having to freaking film it, and then and go to the breweries I want to go to, because it was just, in the end, it wasn't worth it. So yeah, it has been monetized, but yeah, we don't bother.
Well, so I don't know if you know the question I'm going to ask you now.
Okay.
Like, why do you do it then if you're not making money off it? Like, you have a real day job, and you're putting in all this time and all this effort creating content every single day. Yeah. So why do you continue to do it?
Just love craft beer, man.
Yeah.
My stomach doesn't, but I just appreciate the industry, man. Like, we're sort of like, if you think about it, I get to spend Nate too, but like, anywhere from 3 to 5 hours with people, whether it's, for the podcast, typically over virtually. And you start to get to know people, and you ask them questions, just like you sort of are pushing to get more info. We do the same thing. So you start to get to know them. And a lot of these folks become my friends. So I can go to, and Nate too, can go to nearly every brewery in Ontario, in Quebec, and a bunch in the States. And I know people, and I can go in there and see these awesome humans. I have a deep, deep respect and admiration for entrepreneurialism, because I know what it takes. I've been doing it for 10 years full time, but I don't have a $2 million facility to worry about and 47 employees. There's like 3 of us and contractors. So my overheads are so much lower. There's still a lot of pressure and the stakes are lower, but I just respect it, man. And I just feel like at this point, it's like, I'm a bit of a, what do you call it? Like, I wouldn't play with toys as a kid unless I had the whole set. Like, if I didn't have the He-Man everything, I wouldn't play with it. So I'm OCD, and I have a completion issues. So I just keep going. I just have to keep going. And I'm like, I feel
once
like
you're in, is what you're saying. Yeah,
that's how I sort of feel about it.
And Nate, how did, like, you're not making money off this, and I assume you have a full-time day job as well too, and you have a family at home. Why do you continue to do?
Indeed, I do have a day job, and yeah, I've got a family, and this has turned into something that consumes quite a bit of time. As someone who's a podcast host themselves would know. And yeah, what keeps me coming back to it is very similar to what Craig was saying, but the thing that I'll add to it is to hear feedback from the folks that we talk to, and have gotten to know, and kind of how much they seem to appreciate the work that we do, to get to know them and their business, and as well as from listeners who kind of appreciate being able to hear the stories and and everything that goes along with these different aspects of the craft beer scene. And from both doing the podcast and previously when I was writing the blog, I don't spend as much time on the blog anymore as I used to, just because I've got demands at home. I kind of had to pick where to spend my time, and the podcast seemed more valuable. So, but even back when I was doing the blog as well, it was the same kind of thing that from like, you know, when I had a piece that generated a lot of conversation and that people seemed to appreciate or have thoughts on or generate conversation, it really seemed to resonate with people quite a bit, and they seem to really appreciate it. And kind of the response that we get from people in the scene is something that spurs me to keep going with it for sure.
Nice. Yeah, there's not too many organizations or individuals anymore. We've talked about this on the show a lot. When I started my blogging, and I guess you could say almost
you were ahead of the game,
vlogging,
right?
Yeah, because I'd go to events and I'd shoot, like you're walking around the brewery today with this $1,000 Pocket 3 amazing little camera thing, and I'm, you know, jealous of it. It's pretty cool looking. But I was going around with this really shitty, I don't even know what it was, like a folding camera back then, like you could do video, and I'd shoot a video of like, we talked about it with Krista McDonald, Muskoka launching their Pilsner, and it's grainy as hell and the audio sucks, but I would go out there and do it, and then I'd interview them and say, so why are you putting this beer out, and what kind of hops are in it? And this is like 2009, 10, 11. Wow. So, and I did it. Yeah, I wasn't making money off it. I just did it for the love and the passion. It's one of the world's most expensive hobbies because
the equipment.
The equipment. But so, do you guys think of yourselves more as influencers, or do you think of yourself as amateur journalists, or do you think of yourselves as just hobbyists?
I would say for me, it would be a podcaster primarily. Is how I feel that that's the if I had to choose, that's the one I feel is the most natural to me. And then the other word, I hate the word influencer, so I like the word creator, and I would say that's a fair representation of both Nate and I. And Nate, you can obviously put your perspective too, man, but like I feel like we, like, you know, Nate makes creative videos and pour shots. I mean, there's only so much you can do with beer, but you know, I feel like that would probably encapsulate it. I think influencer marketing is a thing, and you can be influential, but calling yourself an influencer is the biggest fucking wank of all time.
Yes.
So like, y'all are creators. Please call yourself creators. It's not 2015 anymore. Sorry, Nate, go for it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I agree 100%. I also hate the term influencer and would never call myself that. And I try not to be a dick about it. If anyone ever describes me as an influencer, which sometimes happens among my friends, I don't jump in to correct them.
No,
but it's just one of those things that just kind of grates in my head. And I would obviously never call myself that. But creator seems to fit a bit better. It feels like being an industry journalist, although I would never use that word because journalism is its own thing. I've got no education in journalism, no training in it. I've never you
guys aren't breaking news. You're not talking about the news of the day. It's more telling the stories of the people behind the scenes or in front of the scenes, to be honest, right? A bit of both. Now, Craig, you have had me on the show twice. I think Nathan, you were on, or Nate, you're on with me, or I was on there once with you. But the first time was at the brewery. You had me, or you came to the brewery.
It might be 3 times because you did the link up.
Yeah.
Oh
no, I didn't do the link up.
Oh,
no,
it was the team.
It was the team.
Okay,
that
I'm
did
sorry.
That, yeah.
Yes.
So the first one was at the brewery, and it was about an hour and a half. The second one was video Zoom with you and Nate, and it was about, I think I said I have an hour and a half.
Everyone says that.
I think we went 3 hours, and by the time I went to stand up, I wasn't feeling my legs. But that's your kind of your MO. That's what you guys do is
long form.
And Third Moon, like 5 hours. Now, I ask this with all the due respect. Do you have people that tell you that they tune in for all 3 hours, 5 hours of these? Yeah.
But you do it like slowly over time. So like even me, I listen to long form podcasts, but I will listen to it while I'm in the car or while I'm in the shower or while I'm doing something with my hands that I can't be on the computer with. So I'm like, cool, let me put a pod on and just keep chipping away at it. It's just like, that's how I listen to pods. So I feel like people who would be doing the same thing, or sometimes people have like a manual labor job, so they listen to like 6 podcasts a day, and sometimes they're hour, sometimes they're 3, and they're able to get through it. So people have long commutes, they're really good for commutes, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I feel like I don't shut up, and I like long form things. I like weaving and stories and coming back and full circle things. I kind of like enjoy it thoroughly. So obviously Nate does too, because if he didn't enjoy it, he wouldn't be doing down. So I feel like it's like that you can't tell a story in a short amount of time in any deep, meaningful detail, in my opinion. I think anything shorter, like, it becomes sound bites, and this is not sound bites, they're conversations. It's not an interview, it's a conversation, and back and forth. And I love it even if the guest throws questions back to me. I haven't yet because you've been quite on point with this. I'm waiting for a little gap. I've got something for you. I did want to point out real quick that on that first podcast in 2018, I remember when I introduced that we're in here in glorious Etobicoke, and I remember you liked that.
Yeah, you're gonna ruin something later on, but no, you came up with that.
Okay, good.
That was you.
I just want to make sure I didn't get
all the credit. All the credit goes to for you guys, because you were mocking.
I wasn't mocking.
Glorious Etobicoke.
I love Etobicoke, Troy.
Yeah.
I know. I very much love every time I hear you say it. I'm like, sick.
Yeah.
Because you seem to enjoy it at the time.
I thought it was maybe encapsulated everything I always thought of Etobicoke. I don't live in Etobicoke. I work in Etobicoke, but South Etobicoke is a pretty glorious
that
part of the city.
427. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, what we're not disclosing is that Craig pays Troy 25 cents every time he says glorious.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
I should trademark that. That's on the docket.
Yeah. Do you know what is trademark? Get it in you. It's trademark.
Yeah, is it?
And so is BAOS podcasts. Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's smart to do. It's trademarking in today's in the beer industry especially is very, you need to do it because there's so many. It's so hard to come up with an original name now, and there's a lot of rip-offs, knockoffs, duplicates, and got to protect your brand,
particularly your core brands.
Yeah,
particularly for you guys.
Yeah.
I'll just add in one more thing on the length of the podcast, because like one of the things that I always tell our guests when we're having them on for the first time, and I just kind of want to let them know like what the vibe of it is if they're not familiar with the show, is that other than the questions that we love to cover with all first time guests, our whole thing is we let the conversation go where it takes us. And so, like sometimes these things just send us down rabbit holes, and like Craig was saying, we don't want to cut it off. We don't want to shorten it. If there's a story to tell, we want to hear the whole thing.
Well, I'm not going to let you do that to me today, guys. But
well, that's fair. That's fair. This is your show.
That's your prerogative, sir.
Now, I have a little bit of a personal question for you, Craig.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about your accent. You come from Australia, from Melbourne.
Mm-hmm.
You came to Canada, and what was it like trying to make a name for yourself and the platform when you arrived here in the Ontario, Quebec market?
In beer specifically?
In beer specifically, 100%, yeah. Because it's a pretty, and your link up talks about that, which we'll get to, but even back then, the 2015 and before that, around that time, it was a pretty, very secular place. Like people, you knew each other. You had to trust the person. Like if someone was writing about beer, they had to show up, they had to be known, they had to put the work in, they almost had to prove themselves that they were as good as you. That's my words, not your words. But what was it like when did you care that you were just doing what you wanted to do? But what was it like? Did the breweries, were they open arms and reaching out? And
so quick, the context for that was with music. I tried that first. That was really tough. Everyone knew each other. We already built a bit of a rep in Melbourne, and then all of that went to nothing. We were just these nobodies who moved out here
in Canada,
and you had to start fresh. Music was impossible. Obviously, that's why it didn't work out. I'm very glad because I don't think that life is for me. So it worked out good, but that was so hard. And it was so frustrating. That's also why beer was so cool to me, because it got my mind away from music. And it was like, I didn't care. That's the interesting thing. I didn't care at all. This was a hobby. This could have gone nowhere. I could have had 4 listeners and I'd probably still be doing it because it was just, I just enjoyed it.
Well, to cut you off, does a listenership matter to you
now? It does.
Either?
Now it does for sure, because we've built it. So now I actually care. But in the beginning, I didn't care. And I think I cared so much about music and it didn't work and it killed me. But I didn't care about this and it worked. I'm like, God damn it. So you just got to not give a fuck, I guess. But I think what I did was, for this, I really leaned into the Aussie stuff. Since I moved to Canada, I'm like, I won't say the word here, but I would go up to, I'd say the C-bomb a lot at my job. I worked at the Apple store at the Eaton Centre, and they loved it. Like people, I really leveraged, I'm Australia. Like people I just tried to be different. And I was like, okay, this is how I can get my way in with stuff. So we used to say that word on the pod in the beginning because I didn't care. And then there was a brewery, Glutenberg, in Montreal. I connected with the marketing lady and she wanted us on, but the owners didn't want us on, 1, because of the swearing, but 2, because of the name, because of beer and other shit, which was just the name of my little like selfie blog on Tumblr. So then we were like, crossroads. We were like, do we cut the cussing and change the name, or do we be like, fuck it and keep going? So we obviously decided the former. So we couldn't think of a better name, hence BAOS, but I didn't put the dots between it as an acronym. So people call it BAOS. It kills me, and we get so annoyed, but it's my fault for not making the logo that way. So we cut a lot of that. We still swear, but we don't say that word anymore. Yeah. And it's not all about that. And it became serious because before we're just having fun. It's like me, if you and Scott went out to drink, that's what would it be, right? Yeah. But then it got more and more serious. So the brewery started reaching out, and I don't think anyone cared that I was Australian because all of my beer knowledge was here. I drank beer in Australia. I drank some craft beer, but I didn't think of it as craft beer. Over here, it was very proactive. I learned what craft beer was. I was learning about styles. GLB was one of the most important breweries to me in 2011 when I was really doing the selfie. And, there wasn't many breweries available. You guys are Wellington and Muskoka and BOWS and stuff. Not too many more. Trafalgar, rest in peace. Like, right? I mean, they were relatively not great, but, what's the word? Grand River and stuff. All this.
Trafalgar used to tell the story that, how you keep doing well at the LCBO, you change your label every 2 years. Because if people had a bad beer from you, they won't remember it in 2 years because it's a new label.
That's some genius marketing, guys. Pay attention, brewers. But yeah, that was really it.
Don't do that. Don't do it. Don't make better beer.
Make better beer. But I don't think, all that to say, I don't think it mattered where I was from. I think it mattered that I was supporting local.
I just mean like getting into the...
I didn't try. Yeah, I didn't know there was a thing to get into.
Perfect.
And do you know why? I think that not saying that we did it, but there was like very few people creating a lane of like a podcast. And people tried to clown us in the beginning. They tried to like cancel us and shit probably because of the swearing initially, but like they had to relax because Canadians like took that way too serious.
I'll admit, I didn't know who you were when you came here, and I was a little... I don't know.
When we did the pod?
Like in the early days of your pod and stuff. Because I was with Great Lakes at the time and I just didn't know you. And I could, see this guy doing this podcast and the video stuff. And it wasn't until I think that I saw like the Sawdust of the world, Sam. And
Sam was episode 26 of the original one.
And I was like, and then I was like, okay, if
they legitimize
if they're good with, if Sam's good with them, then they're good with me. So I
think there's a few breweries who just maybe wanted to talk in the beginning. Sweetwater, obviously, and there was Sawdust, and there was a few others that are escaping me in those first batches, and then we landed like Judas CL on episode 40, and episode 50 was the biggest one yet. That was Luke from Bellwoods, right at peak Milk Shark, April 2017. And episode 60 was another big one, BOWS, Steve from BOWS, and 70 was Rosewood, who were the only winery who would, and it kept going. 80 was Lefebvre when they were really popping. Like all these breweries, it was like when one came on, and maybe Sam was probably the catalyst to that, and then it kind of just went from there. Like people reached out, but then we started, Lost Craft, actually. They were episode 15, 16, something like that. So there was a few early ones that kind of maybe legitimized us enough. And I think they were just curious and down and didn't care if we had 4 listeners or
and at that time too, it's like no one was doing it. So it's like, hey, can I talk about my brand with someone?
Because it was either us or the beer writers, and they were doing a different, obviously beer writing, different approach, right? So this was allowing them to talk with their voice on camera and really promoting their products in a different way. And it was kind of at that starting to peak out part of beer when everyone was super amped about it. So I think it was just good right place, right time.
Now, Nate, I'm gonna do a pivot, and every time we say pivot, take a drink. There you go. It's an old COVID thing, right? Pivot. You guys are into these big hazy milkshake juice bombs, and you have been for a while. Nate, do you feel the same way that Craig does about these beers, or?
I would say that Craig and I have kind of parted ways a little bit on this, but early on we were very much aligned on it. In fact, when we were really, really stark defenders of it, we together started a dedicated Twitter account called Team Lactose. And we were just kind of all about boosting and sharing as many milkshake IPAs and other lactose-infused beers as we could, just because we were just defending the existence of the style and just kind of mocking how up in arms people would get about it, because people had very, very strong feelings that lactose doesn't belong in beer back in 2017, 2018 time.
But so you diverge now. You You're on.
Yeah,
you're on. You're on.
What are you trying to say though? You like haze too.
You're on team. Let's try everything, and
I am too.
Yeah.
No,
Are you?
And you drink as much haze as me. I just
Yes,
like innovation.
I just wanted to point this out because if there's any defender of this style in this market in Ontario, it's beer and other shit.
Yeah, that's true.
And it has for years, and you know, it was a big thing. It came, and I still think it is a big thing. But I just wanted to see if either of you have softened your stance a bit on, well, that Pilsator that Great Lakes and Tooth and Nail did is as good as that extra quadruple hazier than unfiltered orange juice with some alcohol in it is so I just wanted to see if you guys have come down off your high horse a bit on that.
We have for sure.
Well, I'll clarify what what I was saying.
Thank you, Nate.
Like where we I am still I can hear Craig getting angry right now.
You should see him. No, you can't see him. You can only see me, but he's
no, I can only see his left arm.
Yeah. There's a great big vein through his forehead right now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's getting angry. And I'm trolling him a little bit here, but no. So I am very pro haze. I want to make that very clear. So my stance on that has not changed. I was more talking about the Team Lactose thing from back in 2016, 2017. But yes, I am very pro haze.
Tell me about the innovation joke.
More specifically, I'm pro good haze. Because it's not all good, but I am not kind of only haze. I'm I'm a big. Sorry, go ahead.
The reason I ask you this question, and it's tongue in cheek for the most part, but your annual lists of the best breweries in Canada are mostly haze, and it's like
they are.
Godspeed won. Godspeed
2023.
Godspeed and Tooth and Nail are on the list for sure.
But they won Brewery of the Year.
I am not
every year.
I'm not critiquing your list. I'm not. I'm saying the majority of the breweries that you guys name are the ones that are known or big.
You are not wrong.
Yeah,
no, you are not
big,
wrong.
strong double IPAs in the big.
But we have a deep appreciation. Just to clarify, yes, the haze has always been our thing since forever. But the crispies have really been a big thing for us. So the fact you guys did the one with Maddie and Tooth and Nail is exceptional. Tooth and Nail, that's the best. True History, Godspeed, all that type of crispy forward breweries. Get me
Great Lakes. Mike Boone's shaking his head behind the thing. No, I'm just joking. We have all these German beers. We have this Czech lager. We have. And everyone likes the other ones. My feelings are getting no.
Do you know what? You guys are known as a crispy brewery. I know you're playing. I want to give you your like Mike Lackey and the team their flowers because you guys crispies are amazing, but you do such an amazing breadth of stuff. Yeah, I would have put you in the crispy basket.
We were just at the True History not too long ago, and just every beer that we had was truly
absolutely exceptional.
We have the quick joke about innovation. So we had if anything's really ridiculous, we send it in a group chat. Yeah, team innovation. So Nate used to be on team innovation. Anything was like a blue milk smoothie or something with chips and soda in it or whatever. I haven't gotten off the team innovation, and the joke is tell him because you came up with it, Nate. The joke is that innovation is the hill that Craig is willing to die on. So I constantly say that he's a withered corpse on Innovation Hill, just because he refuses to get off that one. It doesn't matter. If it sounds absolutely disgusting, why in the world would you want that in a beer? His thing will always be, I'm here for the innovation.
Yeah, I've told this on the podcast in the early days, but there was a brewer in the U.S. who at one point said, okay, this craft beer movement is amazing. It's so many people are doing amazing beers, making true to style beers, but I'm seeing this thing where brewers are coming out with this hickory infused vanilla bean, peppers barrel aged in tequila.
Sounds great.
Picked from salts from the Himalayas, picked by monks, and they put it in a bottle and it tastes like absolute shit because they haven't learned to brew a fucking stout in the first place. And so that's where my innovation joke comes in, is you can innovate all you want. You got to make a good base first. So
I agree with that.
I agree completely.
So it's almost time to talk about the anniversary bash.
Yes.
But I want to hear from both of you. You're continuing to pump out content all the time. You're going to be doing a big event, which, as I said, we're going to talk about. But what does the next couple of years look for? What do you guys look forward to? What are you going to be doing? What are the plans for BAOS? No periods between each one, but beer and other shit. What do you guys want to do?
We definitely want to keep the business of beer episodes. Like every time we put them out, they dominate the numbers compared to the regular episodes. So definitely that's a focus. And I feel like I want to continue to be, and we want to, when I say we, like Nate, Tiff, and I want to continue to be a resource for the industry. And I feel like that's what the business of beer like series is. And that's, as Nate was talking about earlier, that's the type of feedback we've been getting. And that's what makes us like, all right, well, this is like, people are like, thank you so much. Like, I didn't really get how you can use social media to do this or whatever.
So you're tying in your day job business into your beer hobby to make it into, this is what's next for.
I think so. I think that's what's like. We'll keep telling the stories because I think continuing, kind of like what you were telling me, that this is part of your motivation as well for this podcast, was to tell the stories.
The MO is to talk about the people that
behind, that was ours too. Like our actual thing is telling the stories of the people behind the beer. So that's been our thing since 2015, and that's great. And I think I'm going to keep doing that. And I think it's great as well to have a podcast like this, which is phenomenal. And congrats to you for doing it. And you're a fantastic host. I was telling you in the car, just your flowers. You're such a great, you're always such a great guest. Yeah. You like the flowers, right? I have them in the car for you. But yeah, I like the way that you're able to, the way that you do this, and that you're such a fluid guest. You're such a great conversationalist, and such thoughtful questions. I think that's why this is great. And what you're contributing is, I think we'll all complements each other, like having, because there's no one else really much else besides us doing it. So I'm really happy that this is a thing. So telling those stories, but I want to continue to be that resource, because I think that's what the industry requires. And I think that's why, like yourself and Jeff, shouts to Jeff from town, Tiff and I have been doing the talks at the OCB. Last year we did the social media one. The year before that was Link Up. This year, maybe we'll continue with the social media, because that was standing room only in our one. So we're like, okay, people care about this stuff and they want to know, and we can help. And we can customize it, because our High Season Co is our agency. So we got a YouTube channel at YouTube/High Season Co, and it's all social media tips and stuff, but it's general as opposed to industry specific, but we can make industry specific stuff. So not just about marketing, but all the different things. Like Nate and I talk to people in convenience stores to get to the bottom of that. I've even talked to breweries in the States about the 3-tier distribution system and the life of a sales rep, and just every little aspect about the industry. It's fascinating to go a bit deeper and to do something different than just tell the stories. I think this complements it more. So I want to keep going down that. I don't think we'll ever do an event again like this, but because this is a whole lot, we'll talk about that in a sec. But I think that's the direction. I'm not sure if Nate has any thoughts on that, but that's the way I see it going. Well,
Nate has, I'm going to have to negotiate your next contract with Craig here so that you can drop your full-time job and do this full-time. But what do you see? What do you see the future as for beer and other shit?
The only thing that I would add to what Craig listed off is an extension of this whole thing of being a resource, because one of the things that Craig mentioned earlier was the where to drink beer in X city.
I'm going to cut you off, because I'm going to cut you off. I like that idea. And I'm surprised no one's done it yet.
We've done it for nearly 10 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But, no one else has done it. Yeah,
I know.
Those ones kill it.
I'm going to give a shout out a little bit to Cass Enright at Bar Towel with a quick beer. He's done that a couple times with different, mostly US, but sorry again, Nate, to cut you off, but I think that's a great idea. And to all these small towns, craft beer is built on regionality and community. And, we talk to MPPs across the province all the time, and everyone has a brewery in their riding. You can't say the same thing about wine. You can't say the same thing about cider, spirits. So why not talk about the tourism angle? Why not talk about the men and women that are pouring the beers and buying the beers in the bars and restaurants? So it's not just about the breweries, it's about the people supporting the breweries in these small towns. So I think it's a great idea. So sorry, go ahead.
Oh, not at all. No, that was a great point. It's been a few years since we've done content like that, whether it be
together,
video or otherwise.
Yeah.
So that is something that I would love to bring back and cover a bit more, whether it be vlogs or whether it be on the blog. like I would like to do more content like that, because I've used resources like that when I travel before, when I like, if it's somewhere that I don't really know the beer scene and I want to and I want to know the best places to go. Like, so those do exist a bit in like in various cities in Ontario and Quebec, but I find that the content is a bit scattered. And I think there's room for more of that. So that's kind of a void that I would like to see BAOS be able to fill in the coming years.
I got about 6 of them ready to edit. I edited a Quebec one from 2020, like a couple of weeks ago, and I've got like Maine, Boston,
Etobicoke?
Just Etobicoke as well.
Just Etobicoke, yeah, there you go.
Already. I'm going to shoot that. Nate and I are going to shoot that this summer.
Right. Okay. So your 10th anniversary,
Yes.
let's move over to that. Let's talk about the 10th anniversary plans. You're having a big party on May 31st. We spoke briefly at the start of the show. We brewed a beer together today. Kangaroo Wants to Fight IPA, which I do. I love the name. I love any riff on octopus. But
Love it.
So it's for the event. So what's going on with the event?
So the quick version is we turned 10 in April, which is crazy. And Nate and I were talking last year, and we're like, our friend Matt, shouts to Matt from Vox and Hops, a fellow, he's the lead vocalist of Cryptopsy, a big metal band, and he also a podcaster. And he was like, oh man, you got to do 10 beers for 10 years. I was like, oh man, that's ridiculous. So I think I told you, Nate, about that. And then we started, like, okay, let's do 10. And then we were like, I think we kept reaching out to people, and it started to get like maybe 30. And then I was having lunch with Erica from Society, who also is a sales manager at Blood Brothers, and I was telling her, and she was like, yo, we should do an event. I was like, okay, cool. If you take care of it, then we're down. And then we ended up basically we were going to do the collabs anyway. So I would have hit you up regardless of the event. The event's like the cherry. So then we basically had 45, I think, and then 6 of them weren't able to do it. Some of them are going to do it later on
After
in the year.
event, yeah.
Because it's like our 10th anniversary year. I imagine you guys do this stuff for the big stuff. So we're doing that. So basically the event, all the beers are coming out between April and May. So we've I don't know how many out now. I've lost count. Probably 12 or something they're out now. And they're going to continue to roll out faster in this month in May. We kept all the hoppy beers. Obviously, Brew Day today was for the Kangaroo Wants to Fight.
Yeah, we want to keep it nice and fresh for the event.
That's the whole point. Fresh GLB. Hashtag Fresh GLB. You know the vibes. So the event is at Blood Brothers. It's called the Get It In Ya Spectacular. We obviously ran Get It In Ya because of the obvious reasons, but Spectacular there's an event called GABS in Australia, Great Australian Beer Spectacular. So I stole it from that. I checked and they didn't trademark it. So borrowed it. Spectacular. So we're going to do 2 sessions, 4 to 7 already sold out, and 8 till 11, which is about 50% sold out. There's going to be all 39 breweries, but 40 beers, because Leketch did a split batch with 2 different hops, same base for Nate and I. And we also have a collab coffee with Found in Toronto, who's Australian owned. They just had a massive Vegemite thing that we've got the Australian Prime Minister.
What the hell happened with? Oh, you know what? That's not for this podcast.
I was gonna say. So whatever, it worked out pretty well. It's good, because otherwise my Vegemite plug was fucked. So we're doing the event. They're gonna have all those beers there. It's we're gonna have DJ like the 3-time Canadian DMC champ, DJ T Junior. She's amazing. She's playing there, but it's going to be a not super loud. It's not like a jumping event. We want it to be talkative. We've got a cookie called Quest. It's a local hip hop themed vegan cookies that are phenomenal, and food from Blood Brothers. And it's not like $150 to get in. It's just like $30 now, because early bird tickets are finished, and token based, so you can drink as much or as little as you like. Super chill, good vibes. Lots of industries coming. So if anyone's wanted to meet their favorite breweries, a lot of folks are going to be there. We're not event people. We didn't know what the hell was going on. We're like kind of terrified to launch it in the beginning, because I was like, we didn't know if anyone was going to care, but it sold really quickly. But
10 years of relationships, 10 years of connections, and look what happens.
That's right.
Nate, where can people find more about the party? Like, so you said there's still some tickets for the second half? Yeah. Yep. So Nate, where can people go to get more information?
To get more information, you can get a lot of it on our Instagram feeds, either at BAOS Podcast, at Nathan Does Beer, at Get It In You See, because we're constantly pumping out the new beer releases and whatnot. But the main resource, and where you can get tickets by drink tokens and whatnot, is getitinyafest.com.
Getitinyafest.com.
Nice and easy. Can't forget it.
Don't be drinking, eat octopus and try to type that into your
No, I was going to
browser.
struggle. Should we talk about the kangaroo?
Yeah, Kangaroo. I want to know.
Yeah.
So Kangaroo Wants to Fight. You did a great job earlier today to our social team talking about what the beer is and why we're doing this particular one. So
Yeah, it was like, so when Nate and I, one of the things when we approached all of our friends at all the breweries for the collabs, we were like, we didn't want to be, hey Troy, you want to just do a collab, bro? Like we wanted to be like, hey man, we're having this. We really obviously respect what you guys do. We think we'd love for you to do a collab, and we think maybe a West Coast IPA would be great because that's what we love from you guys. And we did that with all the breweries. We hit them up and gave some suggestions. Sometimes it went left of that, or sometimes that's what we ran with. So it was perfect. And then we're talking about the Westie, and then we'll just think about a name, and then I don't know why, it just came to me. I was like, oh, I think I might have saw octopus online or something. I was like, Kangaroo Wants to Fight, because there's people might not know, but there's a flag. It's really weird, but there's a kangaroo with boxing gloves called the Boxing Kanga. That I was like, well, this could be a bit of a flip on the brand. I really didn't know if you guys would be down because it's such an important brand to you guys, and the fact immediately you're like, hell yeah, let's go. I was like, fucking sick. So it's basically the same base as Octopus with Superdelic, Moteca, Nelson, and I always forget the last one.
Well, you're looking at the wrong guy. I don't know, but
Nate, do you remember?
Say that again. Say the
Superdelic.
Yep.
Nectaron. No Nectaron. Superdelic, Galaxy, Moteca,
and Nelson.
and Nelson Sylvan. There you go.
Moteca
is the other one because we did the Whirlpool hop today. So it's going to be the same sort of base, but a nice little flip on it, an ode to a favorite. And I don't know, to us, that's like the coolest thing, to be drinking this beer in 2011. I don't know if Octopus itself was out then, but to drinking Great Lakes, no. When did it come out? Do you remember?
2015 as a mistake. 2018 it became a year-round brand.
Gotcha. So to be drinking this beer, and then now to be able to do one with our logo on it, to have a flip on it, is like, honestly, like it's such an honor. It's so
the label
cool.
Looks pretty cool too.
It's sick. Yeah, we're riffing on it today. We changed some of the colors.
Yeah.
The Kanga's looking great. Yeah. So that's the beer, and I don't know, Nate and I are stoked about it, and I think it's like a perfect. For the event, we tried to curate it so that it's not like all haze. Yeah. It's like, it's a lot of haze, but it's also a lot of Westies. It's actually, if you picked any style,
I think we actually have more Westies right? than haze.
Lots of crispies.
Oh, look at you guys are coming around.
So I told you, see? Told you. Team innovation, but we fuck with everything.
Team innovation.
You know, we got smoothies, we got barrel-aged stouts, we got all different types of crispies, or like all different, malt varieties.
We even got a dark mild that got that dropped yesterday.
Yeah, an English red. We got like a bunch of stuff.
You guys were wasted when you agreed to that one, I'm sure. Yeah. Quickly before we get into the rapid fire questions, I want to talk about Link Up.
Yes.
So I love that you created it. You're co-founder.
I am a co-founder. Yes.
Can you tell the listeners just a little bit about it? What is it? What do you do? How can folks learn more?
Yep. So the good quick, as you very eloquently described earlier, it's to help BIPOC folks get into craft beer, because at the end of the day, the joke is white dudes with beards is who are the general demographic that's into beer.
As you sit here with a white beard, and I sit here with a...
You got a nice little beard, nice little scalps going on. Nate's got a great beard. Yeah. Mike, you need a beard, dude. But the beer is for everybody. And it's weird when you go in the streets of Toronto and then it's everyone, and then you go into a brewery and it's mostly white dudes. It's just odd. So that's what this is trying to fix. And the other reason as well is genuinely... it's an economic thing as well as a social thing, because it's weird, but also economic, because there's how much money is left on the table, and but for all these different communities who aren't involved in beer and don't come to beer because they don't realize how well it compared with you name a cuisine, any sort of Asian dish, Caribbean dishes, African food, different places in Europe, like it pairs with everything. And African women like 8,000 years ago invented beer, so why is everyone not involved in it? So I think that's what we're trying to fix. We partnered with the folks at Saint-Guillaume Baron in Gatineau, Quebec, and they're our co-founders. They pitched it to us after the Black is Beautiful. They had all this money from doing it 3 times, and we're like, oh fuck, there's nowhere for this to go. So why don't we start our own thing? So now we just got it taken. I guess we can announce it now. Our Niagara College grant finally got accepted because there's no one applying for these fucking courses.
So I was going to ask you, because we worked with you a couple of years ago. We raised over almost $5,000.
Just amazing.
Yeah. And the feedback was great for us. And
Yeah, your team was incredible.
but
as
it
well,
also
by the way.
spawned a lot of internal discussions at the brewery. It also spawned a lot of retail discussions. So people were coming in, oh, what's this beer about? You guys came in and actually, or we did a Zoom, I think.
We did,
and-
'cause it was COVID.
Yeah, yeah, and we talked about why you're doing it, what the money would go towards, et cetera, so that our staff could then go in and tell the people buying the beer what this is all about.
Yep.
It worked out well for everyone involved. But
great.
so Niagara College, I was going to ask about, did bursary or scholarship come about?
$5,000 scholarship
Perfect.
just got taken.
Nice.
I'm introducing it again for the next.
Oh, good.
yeah.
And so collaborations, is that something you're going to work on in 2026, or you got something going on in
That's the
2025?
thing.
Yeah.
We were doing series of collabs. That's how we were raising the money. And then it just kind of, I felt like we exhausted people with that. So we paused on that. And now we wanted to sort of build on like, let's do something larger and deeper instead of going wide and kind of shallow with just a collab and raise some money. Let's go shorter. So say we work with Great Lakes, we do a collab that's like more thoughtful, an event that like partners maybe with some local other businesses, like, local BIPOC food or something, just something to sort of like make it a bit more of a thing, or maybe have a little, like one of the ideas that Denise had done when she was out there was like a job fair thing. So we could get the breweries to come through, talk to different people, have different positions available to chat to folks like, hey, brewers or retail people or any different yeast lab folks, like all of that to try and do it. So we're doing that. We have another scholarship in Quebec as well, which I believe got taken, but they're waiting for more people. That's the big problem is the schools don't have enough applicants. So, and I know Niagara College now are cutting down to 1 intake per year as opposed to 3 or 4, which is better apparently. So that's really what we're looking to do, is go a bit deeper with less people, I think, in 2026.
So now's the time that I've been waiting for, you've been waiting for, that Nate's been waiting for. He's gelled his hair a couple times since just to get ready for this.
I love the hair comments. I never thought about it.
Well, it's beautiful. I'm a bald man and he's got beautiful hair. So it's time for some rapid fire questions, but you need a beer. So we're going to crack a beer. We're going to come right back with rapid fire questions with Craig and Nathan. Hang tight.
Well, how's your doodle? Rollin' Baggage here, rolling solo down here at Sunnyside Beach. I's likes to get here nice and early to grabs me some prime sandy real estate. I lays out me towel, slather myself liberally with tannin butter, and soak in some tasty vitamin D. Speaking of tasty, looky in me cooler box. A whole gaggle of Sunnyside Session IPA. Big on the taste, low on the alcohol. A springtime, summertime, anytime treat, and a permanent staple in the grips of me fingers. Oh, and check out the can to see a brand new me. Been lifting some iron to boost me biceps, triceps, and me deltoids. You know what they say, sun's out, guns out. Work your tan and crack a can of Sunnyside Session IPA.
All right, this has been a great conversation with the two lads from Beer and Other Shit, or how do you pronounce it if you don't?
BAOS, people keep saying.
BAOS.
Which is funny, but people keep saying it to the point I'm getting concerned now. I'm just like, how people not listen?
To be honest, I've never heard anyone say it. So
okay, good.
Maybe it's the
maybe people keep saying it back to us. The 5 people say it all the time.
Rapid fire question time. What beer have you been enjoying recently that's not a Great Lakes beer?
Do you want to go first, Nate?
Yeah, sure. One that I've been enjoying recently is Tooth and Nail Revelry, their amber lager. That's one that, like, every time I go back to Tooth and Nail the last couple of months, like over the late winter, early spring, has been an absolute banger.
All right.
Hell yeah. Counterparts Coniferous Barley Wine series, barrel-aged barley wines.
Do you drink anything that's under like 11%?
No, I'm not a baby. I'm not a child, Troy.
Well, see, I had it in the rapid fire questions. Who came up with the term glorious Etobicoke?
Hi. That's me. And yes, my lawyer will be in touch for the royalties. And a cease and desist, maybe. We'll see.
Favorite Ontario beer of all time?
I would say, once again, Counterpart double-barreled deciduous Imperial Stout.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and say also counterpart, and this is one that Craig just scooped me on in the previous question, but Coniferous, their barrel-aged barley wine, specifically the barrel blend one from 2024 was just exceptional.
So some shout-outs for Greg over there.
Greggles.
Right? Yep.
That's right.
Name your celebrity doppelganger.
People, I do know what I don't know about you now. I'm like the most generic white dude ever. I get told so many different things. They go, "I've seen you before. You look like that," and I'm like, I don't at all. So I think I'm just got generic face. I don't think I look like anybody.
Really?
Yeah, dead ass.
Nathan?
I'm also like a generic white dude with a beard, although apparently my hair is even nicer than I thought. But I couldn't think of an answer to this question, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave.
Don't we both get Brad Pitt, George Clooney a lot? Don't we get that?
I'm going to put.
I feel like we get that a lot. What do you get?
I'm going to have to. I get a couple different people, but the one that I used to get back in the day was Roberto Osuna, which we don't like to talk about him, but he was a pitcher with the Blue Jays.
Okay.
A lot of people used to. I got stopped in the streets, no word of a lie. People thinking I was Roberto Osuna.
That's amazing.
Best thing about podcasting,
meeting the people and building the friendships from the long conversations. Very, very long conversation.
Yeah, I have to echo that. That is 100% the best thing about it.
Name a person or brewery in the industry that has or continues to inspire you.
Nate, you go first.
I'm going to say our friend Jacob from Cinquième Baron, and the reason for that would just be because he has the mentality of really wanting to create the things that he wants in the scene that he doesn't see enough of in the scene. It's something that I think he does that he does quite well. So appreciate him for that.
You can't see the vein in Craig's head again, but that was the wrong answer. You were supposed to say
what was you supposed to say?
Craig.
I never thought of that. Wow, that's a good idea. Yeah, so mine's Nate. Wow.
Make me seem like an absolute dick.
Wow, piece of shit. I was going to say Bim from Godspeed, because that dude's basically running a brewery in Toronto from Japan. And he flies back and forth from Tokyo like a madman. He's a champion. He's just doing beautiful things, and like collaborating with fucking Pilsner Raquel and Czechvar is bonkers, bro. It's insane.
Hey, Mike Boone, he's been named a lot, hasn't he, Mike Boone? As a lot of people have named Bim, so Bim, really? Another shout out, yeah,
with good reason. His is one of those things that I just keep thinking, like, how are we this lucky to have him and his brewery in Toronto?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
If you want to learn more about Luc Bim Lafontaine, you can go back and look at the episode or listen to the episode we had. I can't even remember what number, but it's down below this one. Best time and place for a beer.
Right now, baby.
I would say on the dock at a cottage, just kind of like with your feet up, like looking out on the lake on a hot day.
That was so Canadian.
And a rapid fire question for you, Nate, just you. You're on a dock having a beer, flip flops on. Do you have gel in the hair, or is it just loose? All right.
If I've showered that morning, I do still have gel in there.
Let it flow, man. Favorite brewery you've ever toured?
The bigger ones are always the like kind of more like whoa. We were actually talking about, because you guys reminded me a bit of it today, both Founders and Odell, because they have those crazy robot arms that like pack the boxes and like pick the shit up and then like wrap the pallet like in plastic.
We don't have that, but
you got some of the stuff.
We have one arm that picks up kegs. Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
But we have to do it ourselves. It's not like,
that's
robot.
fair.
So Founders and Bells.
Not Bells. Odell. So Founders
yeah.
in Michigan, Grand Rapids, and Odell in Colorado. Where is it? Fucking Fort Collins.
Fort Collins. Okay, Nate.
Nathaniel.
like probably the two like there are two like really particularly memorable ones for me, and that's the Guinness Storehouse like in Dublin, and then the Heineken tour in like in Amsterdam, and those are really like museum kind of experiences. It's a whole other thing that's kind of hard to compare to. Those are
you get a shower in Heineken. They spray beer misty on you when you're traveling down into the fermenting tanks. If you could have a beer with just one person in the whole world, dead or alive, famous or not, who would you choose?
My answer is so problematic right now, though, so I don't even know if I want to say it. But prior to recently, the GOAT is unequivocally Kanye West. And unfortunately, right now, man is dealing with whatever he's dealing with. But pre this, I don't think any living artist has been this great in fashion and music and everything he's done.
That's your answer. That's fine. That's fair.
Once again,
I'm not going to
pre all of this. Pre all of this.
And Nate, less controversial one, maybe.
Just thinking of some of the conversations that we've had on the podcast, I would love to, without mics and cameras, sit down and I even have done this before, like sitting down and just having a beer for an hour with Troy Baxter and that from Badlands. And I would love to do
that is your answer. You're famous or
yes, that's right.
Wow.
Or with Bim. Like I've only spoken to Bim on the podcast before, but he's way too busy to have an hour to sit down, not on a podcast to just talk to me. But I would absolutely love to do that. And I don't know, I couldn't think of an answer for for a celebrity, so I'm just thinking of people that I would love to have a beer with.
All right, well, you know what, Nate, I'm gonna do a solid for you. I'm gonna reach out to both those fellas and say, Nate wants to have a beer with you guys. Let's make it happen. Let's do it.
What about you, Troy?
I'll hop in the car immediately. Just say the word.
Who's yours, Troy?
Who's mine?
Yeah.
I have so many people that change all the time, but it's baseball season right now.
Okay.
And I had no idea you were going to flip this on me, but I had a feeling I've always thought about who's going to ask me this one.
So no one asked you before?
I really want to have a beer with Pat Borders. And
I love
he
Pat.
He was a back catcher for the Jays, 1992 World Series MVP.
Okay.
That dude, he's got like 10 kids. He's a Texan. I think he would have some pretty amazing stories about baseball in the minor leagues.
Does he have a mullet?
He had a mullet while he was playing with the Jays.
I feel it. I feel it.
Chewing tobacco in the lips. So last question, fellas. Best hangover cure?
Do you know what? To avoid the hangover is beer water. So I would have like a full, maybe you could even have a
zebra striping.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Yep.
Maybe you have a Grey Lakes hot pop would be a great thing in between every
nice
Grey
plug.
Lakes beer that you're going to do.
Thank you, sir.
You're
nice
welcome.
plug. Nate?
I don't find that any hangover cures really work for me anymore. I found that the beer water thing used to work for me in in my 20s. It also used to be a thing of it would work for me if I woke up a couple of hours before I actually had to be up and would pop 2 Advil and drink a bunch of water and go back to sleep, and that would often help. But I know that's not very good to just take straight Advil on an empty stomach now. So now I find that literally nothing works as a hangover cure for me as I'm nearing 40.
Oh, the little plug there for how young you are. Fellas, we need to work on Nate's rapid fire answers in the future, but that was really great. Those were Nate, you got rapid fire means fast. Go.
Yeah, I know. You know what it is that and I'm gonna be fucking this up again by by being a bit.
You already started.
They used to do the lightning round on BAOS, and tell me how that usually used to go, Craig.
Sometimes it took an hour and a half.
Yeah, there
to
you go.
do 10
exactly.
questions.
So that's kind of the holdover that I'm kind of fucking this up on, I think.
All right, so you know what your personal goals for the next year are is to get those lightning rounds down to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun, guys, and it's been great to be on the other side of the mic. This time, me asking you guys the questions, and it was great to learn a little bit about the history of BAOS, beer and other shit. And
now we're never going to hear the end of it.
And you know what? Just to talk a little bit about Nate's hair today. So thank you guys for making the time, and we're going to talk again real soon. So thanks again. Cheers.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
that's it. That's all, folks. Episode 36, Kangaroo Wants to Fight, with Craig Thorn and Nathan Lefebvre from Beer and Other Shit, otherwise known as BAOS, has moved from the mash tun to the fermenters. If you've enjoyed our conversation or any other episodes, please leave a review or comment wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode was fueled by cans of Burst New England Pale Ale, which you can find all over Ontario at the beer store, LCBO, select grocery stores, convenience stores, and at both GLB retail locations. Cans are also available online at greatlakesbeershop.ca for free local home delivery. You can visit the brewery at 30 Queen Elizabeth Boulevard in Etobicoke or grab some delicious eats and fresh pours at our brew pub at 11 Lower Jarvis Street in Toronto. You know what they say, our planet, under threat by unseen enemies like bland-tasting beer, is once again saved by the hop rockets of our unsung hero. If you have any content you'd love to hear us discuss on the show, guest ideas, or just want to tell us what you're drinking, drop us a line at podcast@greatlakesbeer.com. Until next time, please remember to keep tipping your glass of fresh GLB in the right direction. Supporting local never tasted so good.
To learn more about what's happening at Great Lakes Brewery, visit greatlakesbeer.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter or follow Great Lakes Beer on your favorite social media platforms.